The Mysterious Letter, Chapter 1, The Discovery. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Eleanor Dane wandered into the dusty confines of Shaw's second-hand books, a quaint shop tucked into the corner of an unassuming alleyway. The shop had a peculiar charm. Its shelves seemed to sag under the weight of forgotten stories, the scent of aged paper and varnished wood mingling in the air. Eleanor, a middle-aged widow with a penchant for quiet hobbies, often found solace in the rows of books whose spines promised secrets, history, and adventure. On this day, a worn, leather-bound tome titled Echoes of Yesterday caught her attention. Its edges were frayed, and its cover bore faint, gilded letters that shimmered weakly in the dim light. She opened it, flipping idly through its brittle pages, when something fluttered out and landed at her feet. It was a letter. The parchment was yellowed with time, its edges crinkled. The envelope bore a wax seal, now cracked, and was addressed simply to "My dearest E." Her heart skipped a beat at the coincidence of the initial. She glanced around the shop, almost expecting someone to appear and snatch it from her hand, but she was alone. Curiosity ignited, Eleanor slipped the letter back into the book and purchased it without hesitation. She carried it home in her canvas bag, her thoughts consumed by the mystery. Chapter 2. The Letter. At her small, cozy home, Eleanor brewed a pot of tea before settling into her favorite armchair by the window. She carefully pried the brittle envelope open, unfolding the single sheet of paper inside. The handwriting was elegant but hurried, as though the writer had been pressed for time. My dearest E. I hope this letter reaches you, though I fear it may not. By the time you read this, I may be far away, or perhaps closer than you think. The days we spent by the lake will remain etched in my memory forever, a balm to my restless soul. If fortune smiles upon us, follow the path of the red star. It will guide you to where answers wait. Yours always, A. Eleanor's brow furrowed. The path of the red star? It sounded like something out of a novel. And who was A? She turned the letter over, searching for a date or clue, but there was nothing. The letter seemed to radiate an energy of its own, an unspoken invitation to uncover its origins. Eleanor was no adventurer, but something about the note tugged at her, a gentle insistence that her life needed a spark. Chapter 3. The Journey Begins. The next morning, Eleanor returned to Shaw's, clutching the letter and the book. "Excuse me," she asked the elderly shopkeeper, Mr. Shaw. "Do you recall who might have sold this book?" He squinted at her through thick glasses. "Ah, that one's been here for ages. Came from an estate sale years back. The Renshaw family, I believe." He stroked his beard. "You might try the town archives. They keep records on old families." Eleanor thanked him, her mind buzzing. She spent the next week digging through the archives, where she learned the Renshaw family had been prominent landowners in the early 20th century. Their estate, a sprawling manor by the lake, had been sold decades ago. It was now a private museum. Chapter 4. The Red Star. At the museum, Eleanor met Clara, a young historian who managed the estate. Clara, with her sharp wit and infectious enthusiasm, was immediately intrigued by the letter. "The Red Star," she mused. "That sounds familiar." Together, they scoured the manor's records, finding references to a constellation known as the Red Star that had guided travelers in the 19th century. It was also the name of a small dock on the lake's far side, now abandoned. Clara offered to accompany Eleanor to the dock, and the two women bonded during the trip. Eleanor found herself laughing more than she had in years. Clara's youthful energy was contagious, and Eleanor felt a sense of purpose she hadn't known in ages. At the dock, they found a small, rusted chest hidden beneath loose floorboards. Inside was a collection of letters, photographs, and a journal, all belonging to a man named Andrew Renshaw, a World War II soldier who had written to his beloved, Elizabeth, but never returned home. Chapter 5. A New Chapter. Piecing together the story, Eleanor learned that Elizabeth had never married, living out her days near the lake. The letter Eleanor found had likely been misplaced in one of her books after her passing. The journey left Eleanor deeply moved. Inspired by Elizabeth's unyielding love, she decided to write a book about the Renshaws. Clara became an invaluable collaborator, and their friendship grew into one of the most cherished relationships of Eleanor's life. Though Eleanor never solved the exact meaning of "closer than you think," she felt a connection to Andrew and Elizabeth, as though their spirits had guided her toward her own path of discovery. For the first time in years, Eleanor felt the thrill of life's mysteries, knowing that every turn of the page held the promise of something extraordinary.